the podcast, Laura. Laura Tibodeau is a very well-known Chief Information Officer. She has held multiple roles as Chief Security Officer, Chief Digital Officer, and also served the board of ASAC, the American SAP User Group Organization. She has helped a lot of companies with her expertise and experience. Laura, why don't you introduce yourself for the audience?
Good morning. My name is Laura Tibodeau. I have been a long-time SAP advocate, implementer, deployer, and SUG board member. I believe in giving back. I have tried to do that my whole career, and I'm excited to meet with you and talk about that journey and some of those best practices.
Thank you. The whole idea is, I know from Compaq days, I'm also an ex-Compaq HP person. You were in the forefront of major digital transformation. What was the one early SAP implementation that completely shifted how you saw the power of enterprise systems?
You mentioned Compaq, and that was my first opportunity to see and understand the global impact of ERP. We moved from a separate HP system at each of our individual subsidiaries to integrated and streamlined business processes. That was so exciting because it unlocked unprecedented data visibility and data efficiencies. We had never seen real-time information sharing. We had never empowered organizations that could make informed business decisions based on data. I think it was important because in my experience, this was one of the first case studies where technology began driving the success of the business.
To give a sense, what year was this, and help you understand a little bit more about the project, if it's possible?
It was 1994, and it was deploying SAP across the globe. SAP was in most countries around the globe at that moment in time. We had independent subsidiaries set up, and that was our goal, is to implement SAP concurrently across Asia-Pac, EMEA, and the Americas.
This SAP rollouts usually are in multi-regions, including Asia-Pac. You have done it in a record time. What was some cultural or business challenges you encountered? How did you adapt your approach to that?
Each culture, each region had very different operating personas. You kind of zeroed in on the Asia-Pac region. What we saw and what we observed in implementing across Asia-Pac was a significant difference in the hierarchy and communication styles. Very specifically, in our Asia-Pac experience, decision-making involved greater hierarchical approach. From what we knew across the United States, we felt that sometimes slowed project performance. We even worried about whether it was delaying buy-in from stakeholders. But in reality, it may have been exactly the opposite, because we had a ground-up and tops-down initiative. That initiative fostered inclusivity, it fostered collaborative decision-making, and it really cultivated a strong sense of ownership from the top of the house to the bottom of the house. I think it's important to talk about that. Just 3 more clicks to say that those relationships in Asia-Pac are earned and established over time. They are trust relationships. We work those relationships by building relationships with the local leaders, conducting workshops tailored to specific cultural contexts. We provided a lot of extensive training, and we had a very strong governance network where every level of leadership was involved and understood the reasons and the rationale for the decision making.
Wow. Coming back to one of the things which we discussed earlier, the source code that helped you inspire parts of the BI solution, which you happen to share with the SAP organization as well. Is it something similar to co-innovation which they have now, where you have a partner, you have a customer, SAP's product management is also involved, where you come together and develop a new product? Is it the early stage of something similar to that?
I think we were before that. Quite candidly, SAP did not have a business intelligence practice when we began our SAP deployments. We believed that It's not about deploying an SAP ERP system, but it's about deploying an ERP system that fundamentally generates data that drives efficient business decisions and outcomes. If you believe that the goal is to produce data that drives business decisions and outcomes, it seemed obvious to us that a data warehouse was critical. A business intelligence and reporting system was critical. That wasn't yet part of SAP's repertoire. What we did, we affectionately created a system which we called Caller, and that was all about collecting and exposing the data and driving decision making. We believed so strongly in that capability that we gave the source code at no cost to SAP with all of our IP. We had an engaged conversation with Hasso Plattner, and we said, this is what we believe SAP needs. And we believe that this is the future, and we're happy to give this to you. That's a little bit before co-innovations. I think co-innovation would imply that both parties saw a need and both co-developed it. In this case, SAP wasn't at the point where they were ready to develop it. We felt like it was compulsory. We developed it and we gave it to them.
Nice. It's amazing. The BW platform came out of that?
Yeah, it was the predecessor of SAP BW, which is the first data warehouse implementation for SAP.
That's amazing. The other one is you have overseen 20 acquisitions a year and led rapid SAP integration for them. What's your playbook for delivering speed to value in such high pressure environment?
I guess it really comes down to four things. Number one, it's compulsory to have a clear and standardized implementation framework. That's all about governance, scoping, planning, templates, accelerators, reference architecture. That's critical. You need to have that solid in your repertoire before you can scale. Number two, you must have a robust change management program. It's all about people. It's all about communication, training, stakeholder involvement. It's absolutely critical that you have those stakeholders engaged to help manage resistance, to align expectations, to foster a sense of ownership. You need to have that mechanism to be able to quickly and efficiently adapt to emerging challenges. Number three, you must prioritize that stakeholder engagement, and you must have the stakeholders involved in the data migration and integration strategy. It's critical to have a seamless migration of the data from whatever legacy systems exist today into the new SAP system, to have the process for not only transporting the data, but cleansing the data and ensuring the quality and integrity of that data. I think it's four things. I think it's your implementation framework, it's your change management program and strategy, it's your stakeholder engagement, and number four, it's your investment and focus on your data migration and integration strategy.
Absolutely. From business standpoint, when you do such major deployments like SAP, do we decide on the metrics, what the business wants out of it at a high level, and then we track that? How do you calibrate the success of a typical deployment? Can you help in your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you need to understand what your business challenges are going into the situation and what your current baseline is. In every project, whether it's an ERP system or otherwise, you need to develop KPIs to say, how am I doing on that journey to get to my best self? You may not be able to put the finest pencil on those KPIs, but I think you know in your heart, the business understands what they need. You develop those KPIs and you refine those KPIs. By the way, Signavio plays a very important role in measuring one's success because it should allow you to measure your baseline and your continuous improvement journey all along the way. I'm a fan of every kind of process modeling tool and capability to help you measure those KPIs very agnostically.
Signavio, definitely the tool. Is it a license separately, or how does it work from licensing standpoint?
Many times they may seed Signavio into your large-scale software portfolio as a trial, get you excited about it, help you understand what it is, and then you can further license it to really take full advantage of it. It may be part of your initial bundle in a small scale, but to get the most out of it, you're probably going to have a separate license fee.
Sure. The next question I know you were with American Stakes. Help me understand in terms of a typical small SMB space, 500 million to 2 billion. What thinking goes behind from the management side, on the CIO side, to deploy something like the SAP B1, or how do you go about? I'm just trying to share your experience with the audience.
I think it's really back to what we just said. You need to understand what your business challenge is. You need to understand the investment that you're able to make, that the board is able to allocate to the initiative. You need to set up a governance team and a business team that is attributable and accountable for the success. You need to work with partners to help you with that journey, help you determine, is it grow? Is it on-prem? Is it a cloud-based solution? Which modules do you need? What business processes are you going to really focus on? Who's going to help you with that data migration strategy? Really, whether it's a mid-market sub-$2 billion company like you just outlined, or it's a large-scale enterprise company, the tenets are the same. You need to know where you're going if you're going to get there. You need to have accountable people. You need to set up governance, and you need somebody to help you that's been there, done that, to get you on your way.
Absolutely. What role does advisory firms play? I'm talking about a mid-market players. Is it very necessary to have an advisory firm to advise, to navigate this whole process? What is your thought process, and have you done it before, engaging an advisory firm?
I think there's different opportunities there. Number one, an advisory firm can help you with defining your SAP portfolio and even writing your contract. That's the earliest opportunity for an advisory firm. An advisory firm can help you with the scoping endeavor to ensure that you are achieving what the business really needs to achieve, and that you're documenting those key assumptions at a level of detail, especially if you're going into a fixed price contract. Those needs and decisions are clearly documented at the right level of accountability, so that at the end you really achieve that. I think there's roles for advisory firms on so many different things. Your data, your business intelligence strategy. This is complex. And I think having an advisory firm in that capacity is nothing but greatness.
Coming back to your cybersecurity role, help me understand how you got involved in that. I know you have become a CIO, then you have taken a security role. How do you wear various hats? If you can help me understand that.
The wearing of different hats was one of necessity. Quite candidly, we did not have a cyber practice at Americas Styrenics. We needed a cyber practice. We saw the impact of breaches at other companies, and we were not satisfied with the level of security that we had for a company that was part of the nation's critical infrastructure. If you have deep pockets, then you can perhaps insource that practice from scratch. In our case, we had to build that practice, and I had to build that practice. I built a team to build that practice. We built that practice on the shoulders of other amazing companies in our sector that quite candidly said, I've had challenges, and I want you to be better for the lessons that we've learned. We were very appreciative for the help from CP Chem, Oxy, Nova, or NOV. We built that practice with a notion of looking at it from both an IT and an OT lens, trying to be quite thoughtful about how we could leverage technology to achieve our needs, given that we did not believe that as a sub $5 billion company, we were really able to create and retain a complete cyber staff. We needed to partner with the best of the best, and we needed to leverage their skills. We needed to come forward with what we knew, which was our business and our value. It was a continuous improvement journey on both sides.
I have a couple of customers. They still are having a lot of challenges in getting the right skill set and the right partners. Definitely an area which overall in the IT landscape, there is a scarcity of the right resources in the market as well. I know you had done some private cloud deployment. Any lessons learned? What a typical company should look forward in terms of the challenges, advice for such people?
I would say whether you're a private cloud journey or a public cloud journey, I think this is going to come through on many different answers. I believe you have to partner for success. I believe in starting small, proving your use case, and then scaling. Make sure whatever program that you're conceptualizing that you're building it so that it can scale. You have to look at whether in your cloud strategy, is it private cloud, is it public cloud, or is it some hybrid strategy where you use public cloud in certain areas and private cloud in certain areas. Maybe the private cloud is to allow you to retain some legacy capabilities while leveraging the benefits of the cloud. I don't think there's a one size fits all here, but I think that every answer is you've got to get to the cloud. And if you've got questions about that, partner to get to the cloud. I think that a cloud first strategy is where we all need to be.
There is one more rather myth or skepticism about this cloud strategy for even enterprise. I know this is a discussion which comes up now and again, especially when people are evaluating the cloud migration strategy. How do we handle 20 years, 15 years of data? Do we really need that? What is your advice for people, for the companies like that?
I think the amount of data that you need depends on probably two things. One is regulatory needs, and one is on the cyclical nature of your business. What I mean by the latter is that if a company operates where every 10 years they see a high and a low, you may need 20 years of data to be able to understand that trend line. I don't think there's a one size fits all answer on how much data to migrate. There's a trade-off between speed to getting to the new platform, which may mean that you bring over no data. You leave your old legacy data in a separate data warehouse, separate data lake, and you join those systems. Conversely, you bring that data across into your ERP system. The latter can be very complex given the need to cleanse that data as part of the migration, because the ERP system will likely not be able to accept it in its rudimentary form. I see that more and more. People say, I'll do a clean break and I'll start my ERP system with day one. All of my historical legacy data, I will keep in a data lake or legacy data warehouses. I'll join it to be able to get that long-term view.
You have been a speaker in some of the AI conferences. What message you have for someone who's looking for the adoption of AI within the enterprise organization? I know people have adopted Gen AI to some extent. What is your recommendation in terms of strategy, in terms of what they need to do, and things like that at a high level?
It is a broad question, but you know what? I am bullish on the importance of AI. In my mind, it's not just an innovation opportunity, it's a necessity. I believe that it drives operational efficiency. I believe it drives enhanced customer insights. I really believe it's just a necessity to stay competitive in our evolving market. It transforms the decision-making process. It spurs growth. Why? It allows us to automate routine and mundane tasks, or maybe I should say, while enabling predictive analytics. How great is that? I'm absolutely bullish on the role of AI in all of our go-forward enterprise portfolios.
There are so many things coming up on a daily basis, right? There are LLMs, the various platforms, Anthropic, Claude. As far as tools are concerned, what sort of LLMs you bank on? There are so many changes coming. As an enterprise, how do you manage this?
First of all, I would say don't get enamored with the fact that this is some sort of shiny object and that it needs a different governance process than what we've talked about along this podcast, which we need for every SAP ERP implementation, every SAP BI implementation. It's all about what value does the business need? What challenges does the business have? Find the right tool to best meet those needs. I would say start with the business challenge and find the tool, not start with the tool and find the business challenge. The next thing I will tell you is that if these tools are nearly agnostic of the back-end data repository. As the tools change, we're seeing that it's not a Herculean task to unwire and rewire them if the LLM model changes, if you now want to move to a different tool. Those are not difficult pivots anymore.
Even SAP has this Joule, and they're open to other LLMs and stuff like that. I think the platforms are also very LLM agnostic, rather.
I'm just going to go on record. I believe in that concept of embedded AI, which SAP Joule provides. That is essential for providing these actionable insights and operational intelligence, just making it easy for business users users to worry about the things that are important, worrying about making great decisions and not spending their time on the laborious matter of collecting the data. It puts the power to the people. That's a wonderful thing.
I know SAP recently rather partnered or recommended Databricks as a new platform. What will happen to the BI space? If people can query everything through AI and get what they want, is it disrupting the BI product of any company? I'm just thinking loud.
I guess it is, but AI depends on data. At the most fundamental level, someone might ask, do you still need an ERP if you have an AI? Absolutely. You need an ERP system to generate that ERP data, to store that ERP data. Now, the interesting thing starts to become, you've got ERP data, perhaps you've got customer data somewhere else, and you've got operational data somewhere else. Your strategy, do you create data lakes with all of this data and use products like Databricks? Do you stay with a complete SAP portfolio? Do you do both? When we were just talking at the beginning of your podcast about the need for executive advisory services, how do you set yourself up for success and look at these different data sources and make them available and accessible by your AI tools and all your other business analytics tools? That's a distinguishing strategy that companies need to be digging into.
Absolutely. The other one, as a CIO, as a technology executive, how do you keep yourself updated with the latest trends and stuff like that? Is it you listen to any particular podcast or you go to conferences? How do you do that?
All of the above. I think you need to have a community of other practitioners. You mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, ASUG is an amazing community for SAP practitioners. Gartner has a community previously called Advanta that companies 2 billion and up can be part of. SIM offers an amazing community. The business sector that you're in may have a community practice, whether you're in oil and gas or chemicals. I believe in community. I believe in technical conferences. I believe in looking at the best of what's been surfaced up by our peers and where we're going in the industry. I believe in customer councils, QBRs, and spending time each quarter with those few measured partners, not vendors, but partners that you truly have, to not only do a look back, but a look forward on where we need to be going. Of course, podcasts and other technical online tools.
I think the QBR is really, let me double click on that. How do you go about doing the QBR? I'm curious.
You mentioned earlier about the importance of KPIs. I believe in KPIs. I believe you have to know where you're going if you're going to get there. Every quarter, I'd like to have a formal time set up with my partners to say what went well and where are our opportunities. You could either call it a SWOT analysis, and then close that chapter, allow the partner to talk to you about what's happening in their world, what innovation they're seeing, and where, as a trusted partner, they think you could really benefit by that new technology. That creates a collaborative effort where you can help build your future systems roadmap based on those placeholders of this is where I want to go, this is where I need to go to stay competitive, to stay relevant. Those QBRs with quarterly business reviews with trusted partners, I think they're critical.
In terms of the resource challenges, right? Why I'm coming to that is in SAP, now people with experience, there's a challenge in getting for a big project, a lot of projects competing for high skilled resources. One of the challenges in the marketplace I'm seeing is we are not able to get the right resource to the table. How do you manage those things as a CIO?
One is your personal network. You treat people well and they'll want to stay with you for the rest of your career. Perhaps you can pull those necessary resources in. Perhaps it's through having great partners that have the ability to pull those great resources in. In some cases, we just have to recognize that we have to build and grow our own great resources. They may not be ready now, but they could be ready soon enough, and that's good enough. Either tap your network, tap your partner's network, or decide to grow your own.
Any closing remarks you have for the audience in terms of your journey, what you want, especially for the CIO community or any IT organization? Closing remarks from your side.
When we look at implementations from a technical standpoint, I think I said every implementation is dependent upon people, the buy-in of the people, communication and working with people. But beyond the people side of it, when we talk about the technical side of it, don't underestimate the complexity of integrations. Don't underestimate the importance of data quality, the data integrations, and data governance. Don't underestimate the importance of change management. Those are three very simple mantras that people may put on the back burner. They maybe get so caught up in other things that they forget the fundamentals. At the very basis, on the technical side, the integrations are never going to be easy. Data quality and data governance is never going to be easy. Helping people through the change is always going to be one of the most complex parts of the implementation.
Thank you very much, Laura, for the great insight. We enjoyed this podcast. I learned a few things today with our conversation. I hope the audience also will take away a few points. To the audience, look forward for the release of this podcast in Spotify as well as Apple Podcast. We will come back to you with a similar podcast in the future as well. Thank you very much.